And Professor T. Bud Barkslip, I welcome you to the program. And Bud, you're going to talk about Humanure. So this is a controversial topic, to say the least. How did you get into this?
How did I get into Humanure?
Yeah.
It's kind of personal, Robert. It took me a while to get psyched up for it. I have to admit.
Okay.
Intellectually, I knew it was the right thing to do. And I read a great book by Joe Jenkins called The Humanure Handbook, which is kind of the Bible for Humanure. And it's just an all-around great book. It's a lot of his references are for the World Health Organization and really well researched by scientists.
Let's just keep it up there.
And
that's the only way to get it.
Wonderful resource. Matter of fact, I'll just say it right now so I don't forget that he makes an offer to anybody who works in a municipal sewage treatment that he will send them a free copy.
Wow. Okay, so let's put his name up there.
Joe Jenkins, the Humanure Handbook. So
yeah.
Really great book, and it's like you say, we need to change things around. This is, I think, something that the future holds for us. It's essential for us to understand the cycles as we do in permaculture, and how important it is to work with the cycles of nature. We also like to say waste is a verb. It's not a noun. It's something we do. So, plants, I like to keep it to the plants, after all. So plants give us these wonderful things, this food that keeps us alive, that gives us subsistence. So I wanted to kind of follow the path of this apple, okay?
Yeah.
So this apple I'm going to eat, my body's going to utilize its nutrients, and then there's going to be the remnants that come out in my excrement. Okay,
exactly.
What's going to go? Okay, it's going to go one way or the other. The mainstream American way of doing it is to get 5 gallons of good drinking water, do my business in the drinking water, and I'm going to flush that down the toilet. That's going to go to the sewage treatment, and if it doesn't rain a lot, they'll actually be able to separate the solids. Well, I have to, coming into that pipe also is, the industrial waste, heavy metals, motor oil, all that stuff is mixing with that apple now.
Right.
Was of the apple. What was once fertilizer, an incredible resource, is now toxic waste. And when it hits the municipal sewage department, so what they do is they separate the solids, and they'll take that to the landfill.
Exactly.
So that gets buried out of sight, out of mind. You'd like to think, but not really. Now the liquids get chlorine incorporated into them. Chlorine is incredibly toxic waste. Toxicity meaning it's really biologically cannot be acted upon. There's very few bacteria that can neutralize chlorine. It's a toxic waste. It's something we way overuse, and nature just doesn't know how to handle it properly. Now what happens is you have all these gallons of liquid now poisoned with chlorine, supposedly clean and sanitized.
Right.
Now it hits the river, hits our French Broad. That's only if it didn't rain a whole bunch during that process, in which case the whole tank flushes out into the river because the sewage department can't handle it, and raw sewage is now in the river to go downstream to the next community to draw for their drinking. Grandpa used an outhouse. And that's, if they're spread out far enough and the soil's right, that can be okay. But even with an outhouse, you get a lot of leaching. And you don't recover the nutrients that you've deposited in there. Septic's really bad. Septic's, you have, Joe Jenkins talks about, if you have over 40 septic systems within an acre, which is not uncommon, you're seriously compromising your water
supplies
in wells, things like that. Because you've got to know what happens is in a septic system, it's an anaerobic system, it's a liquid, it doesn't deal with the pathogens. Okay, so pathogens go into the septic system and they go out of the septic system. They haven't been neutralized. like in a composting system, which is the heart of Humanure, is the composting system, which Joe Jenkins covers thoroughly about all manners of compost. It's just a great reference book.
Yeah, just throw this back up here.
And
again.
I want to talk a little bit historically.
Yeah.
The Asians, just as a juxtaposition, the Asians are notorious for what is called night soil. And the Asians will, and the family of Asians will deposit all their humanure and urine into a bucket, and it will be picked up sometime during the night by someone who does it and takes it to fields, and it gets incorporated into the fields there. The Asians have been farming, these same fields have been incredibly productive for over 4,000 years. Okay, 4,000 years of growing food in one spot because they're adding these nutrients. That apple, they eat the rice and then they put the rice back in the form of humanure. So there's a cycle there that nature was intended that is sustainable. Now, you look at the American system, within 100 years of American agriculture, one of the richest bread baskets in the world, our Midwest, had lost half of its topsoil within 100 years due to improper farming, erosion. You know, like you said, it's in the Gulf of Mexico now. That's only in 100 years, and we're only putting more demands on it because there's only more mouths to feed. So with the price of fertilizer skyrocketing because of oil prices skyrocketing, the fertility is going down. That system is failing now because we don't have the cheap fuel to fuel that system. So what the Asians have done, one thing that they do miss in their system is they don't compost. They're sort of what gives humanure a bad rap, and there's pathogens in the Asian system because they don't compost. But if you compost, the amazing thing about composting is, Robert, that you have a pile that heats up. You have thermophilic bacteria that raises the temperature up over 150 degrees. And that, all you need to kill almost all human pathogens is about 130 degrees for maybe a day or two. And anybody who's had a compost system, they know that when a compost bin heats up, it heats up for weeks. So a day or two with no energy inputs, just natural bacteria releasing heat will sterilize that soil of pathogens. I mean, nature figured this out about 4 billion years ago. We don't need to, the more we tinker with this stuff and get in the way, the messier it gets.
The next part of it is how we take our resources, which is our nutrients, and use them. And if we're not using them properly, again, we have a broken system. Behind us, Bill, is an interesting photo I took off the internet of a composting toilet.
Yeah, real simple. One thing I want to add to your first point, Robert, is a little statistic. 5 billion gallons of fresh drinking water is flushed down American toilets a day.
One day.
5 billion gallons a day.
Now, this is because we're 6 billion plus people on this planet. As soon as that happened, if 6 billion people do anything together, it's going to cause a havoc.
Well, I'm talking about just America now.
I understand that.
So.
But, I mean, worldwide, a lot of the third world countries don't have the problem that America has in using our resources improperly. We are so wealthy that we can throw away good water after we poop in it. I mean, just think about that, America. It's just a wrong system, a broken system that needs to be changed. And this problem can be solved.
It's fueled by myth. It's fueled by myth and fear about what we call fecophobia. It's just ridiculous. It's unsubstantiated. The fear of our waste is not our waste. Our excrement is not near as dangerous as people think it is, and it can be handled very easily and very safely. Now, the system behind us, Robert, in the image, it's a bucket system. And I'm a big proponent of the bucket system. They have composting toilets with lots of bells and whistles and lots of fiberglass, and they're expensive and they're large, and they have fans, and you need to have electricity, and it's all ridiculous. And it seems to be some kind of comfort we need to have all those bells and whistles as Americans. But really, quite simply, all you need is a bucket and a toilet seat. Just like we have right here, right there. You need 2 buckets really. You need a bucket that you're going to be making your deposit, what we like to call the first natural bank. You make your deposit in every morning. And we have the bucket to the right. We have sawdust is what we use for cover. And as long as you cover your Humanure, there is no smell, there's no flies. It's very, very minimal. Depending, if you just cover a little bit more, we keep our urine in there, we put our toilet paper in there. It all mixes for in the end, a very nice nitrogen carbon balance. And then in about 2 years, you have a handful of incredibly beautiful, fertile humus that your plants will love. Now, I can understand maybe being a little worried about putting that around your spinach. It would be safe after 2 years. If that's a problem, put it around your fruit trees or put it around your ornamentals. Everything will just delight in this wonderful material that has been cycled properly as nature has intended it.
So what in the world is that, Bill?
This is called a little patriot.
Well,
I call this a little patriot because it's a whole new political movement I've started, the Humanure movement. Pardon the pun there. Pun fully intended.
Yes.
This is what I've got is my little patriot survival bucket. Okay? It all fits in this little bucket. Really easy. Everybody should have one of these. If you don't use Humanure every day like you should at least have a bucket in case there's a bad storm and your toilet won't flush. What you have is real simple. It all fits in here. You got a 5-gallon bucket. It's a little kit. You have your toilet paper. And I'm also a big proponent of using wet newspaper for toilet paper. That's a very good alternative. You got your bag of sawdust for cover fill, so you're ready to go with your whole kit. And then the key is the folding toilet seat. Okay?
Yes.
Which goes right on there and fits all in there. You're ready to go. You do your deposit. You put in your sawdust. Let's just make we'll do a little mix right here, Robert.
I think that everybody Christmas time should be getting one of these as a survival kit if they
Absolutely.
really.
You make your deposit in the first natural bank. You cover it with sawdust. Okay, it's really easy. You got your toilet paper. You use that for whatever you use it for. You throw that in there. It all goes in. It all decomposes. It's all natural, Robert. It's all gold.
Absolutely. That
and look, it smells good. Use pine. I like pine.
Pine's pretty good.
Genre of poetry. It's called haiku, and I've written a little haiku in honor of the Humanure system, and it goes as follows: the cycle was broken, but now we return. But now we give back what we take, like trees dropping leaves.
Wow, that's something.